Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Okay, so my name is Saleh. Um, let me just introduce myself first. You know the topic of this video from the title. So I'm Saleh. I am originally from Barbados. I live now in the States. I used to live in Riyadh for a little bit. Kind of hopped around, alhamdulillah. Um, and so I've been homeschooling for a couple of years. When I lived in Riyadh, my eldest is 13, so since he needed to start school, it's difficult finding homeschool curriculum and getting started. So I have been homeschooling since my eldest needed school. And then of course moving with homeschooling and moving to another country where it was also quite difficult homeschooling. I have 6 children, alhamdulillah. None of them are at high school years, so I would say that where my knowledge of, I would say, curriculum and how to do it kind of stops is at the high school year level. But some things are just generally you carry them up. The only thing that I wouldn't know about the high school years would be the curriculum that best suits. And most times, whatever is down in the elementary, middle school age group, you can be able to still carry up into high school. They tend to go from kindergarten to 12 depending on the curriculum that you choose. So getting to this video, I don't want to make it too long or too rambling because I can ramble. I'm a talker. We're going to talk today about getting started homeschooling, especially as a Muslimah, where you're kind of wondering, where do I get started? There's not many things out there specifically for us, like how there are Christian curriculums. And so you don't want to just take everything that is given to you. So this is my recommendations. You can put them in the order that you want to put them in, what you deem to be important. This is just mine. So get a pencil and paper, and write in the comments if you have any further questions. Inshallah, bi'ithnillah. So next, the first thing I would say to check on is your state requirements. Every state is different. I have lived in 2 states since I've been in the States. And I know sisters in different states. I've realized that some states really let you have at it. Like, you can pull your child out of school Friday and start homeschooling Monday, and there's nobody to come over you and say, hey, what are you doing? How are you doing it? Let's test your kid. Is your child even learning? I've lived in one of those states. And then other states are what we call notification states, where you can pull your child out on Friday and start homeschooling on Monday, but while you're doing that, you still need to let the state know that you've pulled this child, that you're homeschooling this child. They want to see what curriculum you're using, and then they want to test your child once or twice a year. But that's it. They really can't tell you no unless you don't meet any of the requirements, which is that you have no idea what curriculum you're using, you're not a high school graduate or a college graduate, and so on. And I think it's just high school graduate. A lot of states don't make it that you have to be a college graduate. You just need to be a high school graduate or be able to pay a qualified teacher to teach your child. Okay. Then some states are approval states, where you need to get an okay from them before you can pull your child out of public school. Okay. That may take weeks. So you might decide on Friday you want to homeschool your child, but you got to write this letter and go back and forth and then wait for them to tell you okay and what date you can pull your child out, and then you can pull your child out of school for whatever reason, if they think it's justified or if you meet their requirements. So just find out what your state requirements are. Again, some states make it mandatory that you do state testing. Some states say you can opt out. Some states, whatever, you don't get to do it. All these. So find out what your state says. That's where I would start. Make sure that you're up and up, you're doing it legally, and no one's going to come and rip your child from your arms, claiming child negligence because your child is not at school. Okay? So I have here on my list that you want to check your intentions when homeschooling. You want to make in your head, not saying that you need to have any wrong or right intentions, but you need to know, why am I homeschooling? What do I want? What's the end goal of this? Is the end goal of this to just have my child educated? Is it to safeguard my child? Is it to give my child more of an Islamic base? What's the goal of this? To protect my child, to give my child the best education. Make sure that you know what you want to have out of this, because say you're trying to raise a lawyer, say you're trying to raise an engineer, then your curriculum needs to be geared towards that. If you are trying to give your child more Islam, because some sisters will say, okay, when my child was in public school, the only time we could do Islamic studies was on a weekend, because we're doing homework, all the way till 8 o'clock at night. By the time they're finished, it's bedtime. So I want to give them more Islam. So then you want to start there. How do I get a good Islamic curriculum? How do I weave Islam into our language arts and our maths and everything else? So know what you want out of this at the end of this. If you're going to say, okay, well, my child is not going to be a lawyer, I just want him to be well educated, then you go for that. Okay? Let me kind of mark off as I go so I don't repeat myself. Then I would say, once you've done that and you know where you're heading, because you're starting, you want to know what your goal is, then I would say find out your child's learning style, because you're not the one learning. You are the teacher. Your job is to teach this child. So find out your child's learning style. Some parents would say, okay, my child has ADD and won't sit down. That doesn't mean that that's a problem. Oh, my child is dyslexic. That's not a problem. All that means is that you now know how to go about educating your child. Your child can still be the engineer. Your child can still be the doctor with dyslexia, with ADD. You just need to know, as a teacher, what you need to teach your child. What style. Okay, so my child has ADD, is not going to sit down for very long. That means we need to be able to switch curriculums on a dime and come back to this. We need to keep many activities. How do I need to teach this child to get this child to learn? That's all those what's the word I'm looking for? Those learning styles mean. Whether your child is kinesthetic, your child is audio learning, your child is a visual learner, your child just needs textbooks and go, your child loves to read, etc. So then again, find out your child, and there's some free quizzes that you can do online to find out your child's learning style. Take a couple of those just to make sure that no matter how you answer the questions, that no matter what, my child is tactile learner, my child is a kinesthetic learner, in all three. So I know what style curriculum I'm looking for. I can't do mastery based, because he or she's going to get bored if I do something that's too mastery. Okay, and we'll go into curriculum a bit more. All right, so then the next thing I have on my list is do your research. Watch tons of YouTube videos, read books, ask everyone you know that homeschools, research, and create a community for yourself. Okay, don't just watch this video and make this your list unless you're completely pleased with all the information that I've given you. Kind of go through watching several videos from different demographics that you're pleased with, and collect information, not just about this topic, but about when you're searching for a curriculum, because some person might say, oh my gosh, we did not like Singapore math, it did not work for my child. Maybe because of that child's learning style, right? Maybe because the mother that person is not mathy, and Singapore math was too much. However, you'll find tons of videos where people are raving about Singapore maths, and then you go ahead, you invest your money, you buy it, and you're like, no, I should have listened to so-and-so. You're going to find out that you're going to become like people with natural hair become product junkies. You're going to end up being a curriculum junkie to an extent where you're going to be trying various things. So to kind of minimize that, not waste of money, because you could resell all those things, go ahead and research different types of curriculums, different styles, different popular names, etc. And then think to yourself, okay, well, is this going to work for my child? Is this going to work for me because I have to teach it, etc. Okay. So the next thing I have is planning and organization. Depending on how many children you have or how many children you intend to have, because if this is your first child and you're now homeschooling, but inshallah ta'ala you having more children, then you need to have that mindset of, okay, I'm going to have more kids to add to this. So organize yourself. For me, and I think I do have a video on or I've mentioned before how I organize my homeschool. All my kids are color coded, which makes it much easier for me to, even my 3-year-old, and I already have a color for the 1.5-year-old. All of them are color coded. Their things right down to their pencils have colored duct tape or masking tape on them that I know from a glance this belongs to this person. I have binders, everything in binders. By the time I purchase curriculum, I know what I'm going to do with it by the end of the school year, how I'm going to put it together. And because I have more kids and I'm not wealthy, I try to get curriculum that I know that I can reuse. And that's for another video. So organize yourself. If you have older kids, I would suggest do kind of a Montessori method where you have the older ones helping you with the younger ones in teaching them. Okay, and don't separate your kids when they're learning. Don't separate, okay, well, the younger ones, y'all go and occupy yourselves because I'm teaching the older ones now. Let them be in the same room close by, because they'll pick up some of the things and you'll just be shocked that maybe you're relaxing on the weekend and your 2-year-old or your 3-year-old comes and asks you about the anatomy of a spider, which you just did with your 5th grader. Like, whoa, you were listening. Yes, they will pick up things and they will learn as you are teaching the young ones. So don't separate them. Know that it's going to take you some time to get things done, to get things organized. So, and don't let that stop you. Okay, because you can tweak it as you go ahead. I started with my kids before everybody had table and chair, before we even had a room. I started my kids with just clipboards, and everybody had like a little Dollar Tree box for their curriculum. That's how I started. We didn't have a table, we didn't have chairs, we didn't have like a specific room for homeschooling. Everyone had their own chairs and tables and drawers. And so we've done, like I said, I've been doing this for a couple of years, so we've graduated significantly, so again, because you have this big idea of how you want it to be, and you see, this girl on YouTube, she's got, oh, her room is so good and she's got all the knickknacks. I can't start until I have that too. No, she's been doing that for a couple of years. You know what I mean? Inshallah, isn't it? I didn't think too, curriculums like Montessori that are stupid expensive now, that started out as curriculums for poor children. The kids are on the floor learning in a Montessori classroom. The kids are grouped in ages of 3, from 3 to 6 and 6 to 12 in these classrooms. So don't think that because public school has your child sitting at a table in neat rows and all of this, that's what you need to replicate at home. You're not trying to school your child at home. Don't try to replicate public school at home. Public school is the way that it's set up because they have that massive number of kids that they need to control. You are trying to educate your child at home. So if that means that I'm teaching my child addition and these little cubes that came with the set, or the way they said to do it in the teacher's manual isn't working, I'm trying to teach them subtraction and the way they said to do it is not working, then that means I need to have 2 pencils, and I can show my child, here we have 2 pencils, we take one and I drop one. How many do we have left? The book didn't tell me to drop one on the floor. Do you understand? You're trying to edge. So whatever works, if it's going outside and counting leaves, whatever works. Make a PB&J sandwich and cut it up in quarters and make that your fractions. You're trying to educate your child by all means necessary. Do not try to replicate public school at home. You will feel like a failure. Public school is the way it is because it has it has to be that way, if I'm making my point. Okay, inshallah bi'idhnillah. So with that being said, create phases for yourself. Phase 1 is I get the permission from the state. Phase 2 is while I'm doing phase 1, I need to know curriculum because the state is going to ask me curriculum. And a lot of states necessarily, you can say to them, I'm doing this for maths, this for language arts, this for social studies, this for health, because some states do say you have to do health. And then you can switch it up in the middle of the year, because if it's not working for your child, the fact that you bought this curriculum, spend your money, do not fight with your child if it's not working. Sell it, store it for the next child, get something else. Okay, do not be a slave to your curriculum. So don't feel that because you put these names on the paper to hand to the representative of the state means that you have to stick to this curriculum. So, no, they're not going to fuss with you at the end of the school year. They just want to know that your child has learned the things that they need to learn. Okay. But then when it comes to curriculum, you have your secular curriculum. Okay. You have what I like to then break down into your Christian curriculums, which are either going to be Bible based or Christian based. So let's break those down. Secular, what you need to look out for, inshallah, is whether it is evolutionary based, secular, or doesn't get into it, secular. Because there's a difference. You might find some secular, especially in science. Science is one of those curriculums that I really have struggled with over the years, because I don't want it to go into evolution. Although everything is how you bring it to your child. Are you going to bring evolution to your child saying, with a perspective of this makes sense, or look at this foolery? So you could possibly do an evolutionary based, well, not evolutionary based, but look for because it won't say we're evolutionary based, but when you look at certain topics, you can say, oh, look, they're talking about how this thing evolved. Do you want to just eliminate that, but the rest of the curriculum is good? Because as Muslims, again, as I started, there's nothing out there for us. So we need to be able to look at things from an eye of, how can I tweak this for me? I'm going to tear this page out. I'm going to just blast out this section, or put some label paper, sticky paper on top of it. Or we're just not going to do this page. How can I make this curriculum work for me? Is it too much work to make this curriculum work for me? Moving on to the next thing. There are some science curriculums that simply do not get into it. It doesn't go into creation, doesn't go into evolution. It just is science. And so I tend to look for those. If I find a curriculum, for example, the Good and the Beautiful Science, which I've done before, will get into creationism. And I prefer that over, of course, evolutionary based curriculum. Well, not based, but mentioned curriculum. Because then where it messes up, I can exit out. But at least it would teach my children one of the things that I believe as a Muslim, which is that we were created. So that works for me from that perspective. Then you have a lot of the homeschool curriculum is Christian based. And then, like I said, I divide that up into two different segments, of course, Bible based and then simple Christian based. The Bible based ones, you'll go into a curriculum like, for example, science or handwriting. A reason for handwriting or a reason for science is one curriculum that is Bible based, where everything that they do, it comes right back to the Bible. There is mention of the verse in the Bible and how we can bring this science topic or whatever back to the Bible. And then there are some math curriculums that are Bible based. Yes. Then you have Christian based curriculums, like I would say the Good and the Beautiful, which is Christian based, because it's non-denominational. So it doesn't necessarily, although the chick who did it is Mormon, it is non-denominational. So it doesn't mention the Book of Mormon or any of her beliefs or any one Christian sect's beliefs, but it is Christian based. So it teaches good morals, manners, and character traits that I want my child to take part in, right? So it will teach my child things, for example, like listen to your mother. Oh, look at how beautiful this painting is. This is by the creation of God, creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. And of course, my children know to just, wherever it says God, they say Allah Azza wa Jal. And stuff like that. I want my children to see this. It'll tell them how to choose good books. Oh my gosh, I was so impressed, alhamdulillah, about this part of the curriculum where it is mentioned to them, you know, certain books like Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And before this, I didn't even think about this necessarily, but Diary of a Wimpy Kid, it was like, look at just the title of this book, where it's calling someone names, which is something that in Islam we do not do. We do not name call. The title, beginning from the title, and this is a very popular book among the kuffar, and some Muslims have this book on their bookshelf for their kids. The name in and of itself, the book is about bullying. This child was bullied. It is not encouraging it, but it discusses it like it was, like it's part of life, kind of, you know, other people go through it. Look, I went through it and I'm still good. No, we're not encouraging that. And then it compared it to a book called A Penny's Worth of Character, I think it was, which encouraged good character traits. And just look at even the title of the book. So stuff like that I really liked about Good and the Beautiful, and there are a few other curriculums that are just like that. And so because of that, we have done the Good and the Beautiful for a combination of reasons for many, many years. Okay. And then, like I said, we have nothing out there specifically for us. No math curriculum that is Quran based, not that I know about. If you guys know about it, please put it in the comment section below. No language arts curriculum that is Quran or Sunnah based or Hadith based. It's just, so you have to look at things with a squinty eye and be like, how can I change this? How can I tweak this? Okay. So this is where I'm going to stop for today. Okay. Search for your curriculum. Know that when you had it in your state, you can switch it up. Check your state laws. Get somewhat of an idea of how you're going to organize for you now, not where you want to be. Oh, I want a room and we're going to set it up. We're going to put posters on the wall. No, start where can you be now, right? How can I get organized now? Are we going to have, like, I have clipboards for each of my children. I got them at the Dollar Tree. Clipboard, you know, if books are going to be too much, we're going to have to look for PDF curriculum. Get started with something. Especially, I love PDF curriculums. Allahumma barak alaik. I love, because I can keep it for the next shell coming up. I can print only the pages that I want. No shipping. There's a list, and then I can search the PDF immediately. I can do a search, Control F, go through it for words like God, words like Jesus, Christian. I can automatically search it for any words that are going to kind of red flag me and see where I need to make a note of. We got to, you know, on this day I got to check it, you know. So inshallah ta'ala, that was helpful for a lot of you. This was a long video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel. If you have any ideas for other videos that you would like to see, please mention in the comment section below. And inshallah bi'idhnillah, like I said, I'm going to keep these videos coming. I have a few curriculum purchases that I'm going to share with you, not just secular curriculum, but Islamic stuff that I've purchased that I want to, I'm trying to go through them first before I review them so that I can give you my honest opinion, because I didn't just get it. Inshallah bi'idhnillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.